that on? Yes. Good evening, Covenant Woods. Tonight we welcome Amanda Pak's son, Sam. Amanda, in 1979, Amanda and her family fled their hometown of Cambodia to avoid the Khmer Rouge genocide, where 2.5 million people out of a population of 8 million were killed or died from starvation or disease. Their journey through the jungle was filled with danger. She came to the United States when she was 12. She had no education, knew no English, and in fact, she couldn't even read her own language. In 2006, she started her first relief mission to Cambodia with $1,700 in donations from families and friends. They established a 501(c) in 2007 that supported Cambodia poor through a sustainable program. They named that organization 100 Pounds of Hope. In 2015, they finished their first 6 classrooms, schoolhouse, which serves 400 students. In 2019, she founded Hope, helping others pursue education that brings aid, education, and inspiration to many more in dire need, and help by ensuring the community itself gains the skills necessary for its own success. Tonight, we welcome Amanda and thank her for being here.
Okay. Could you hear me now? Perfect, thank you. Good evening. This evening I will share with you my personal experience as a child who at a very young age was exposed to the total fear, immorality, and horror that pervaded Cambodia in the later half of 1970s. It began April 17, 1975, the day that I will never forget for the rest of my life. The Khmer Rouge, a radical communist regime, terrorized Cambodia. People all across the country were forced from their home at gunpoint and marched into the countryside. The cities were evacuated. Factories and schools were closed. Currency and private property was abolished. Anyone believed to be intellectual, such as someone who spoke a foreign language, was immediately killed. Military family, skilled workers were also killed. In addition to anyone caught in wearing possessions of eyeglasses, or wristwatch, or any other modern technology. Enforced march punctuated the atrocity from the Khmer Rouge. The million people who failed to escape Cambodia were herded onto rural collective farms. They took away all belonging, leaving us only a few pieces of clothing. We were forced to use any means to dye them black like the Khmer Rouge clothes, stripping us of all individual identity. We had to destroy all documents, photos, birth certificates. I don't even know my actual date of birth. And my family had no picture from my childhood. The regime ended the family structures and cultures. No funeral, no wedding. No longer were people seen as mother, father, brother, or sister. We were all merely properties of the regime. We had to address each other as mid, in translations, as a comrade. The one gentle natures of my people turned hard. Friends and family began to turn against each other just to survive. Each night, we were all required to attend a re-education classes, a meeting. At the first meeting, doctors, lawyers, nurses, artists, teachers, and anyone who had a professional, were asked to identify themselves and step forward. They were told that the Angka, which is the government, new government, need their skills. The skills are valuable to Angka. Many willing come forward, but my father was not so gullible. He was a school teacher. In order to save our family from persecution, not just himself, we have to change name, identity. And we were instructed, as a child, I was told that anyone asked that he was an uneducated fisherman in order to save ourselves. And if we ever slip, call him like we call ones we live in a city. He was straightforward asking, do you want to get killed? Do you want me to get killed? So there was no hiding, no, this goes behind the back door. So not many did we fear, so not only did we fear the soldier, but our friends and neighbor as well. We couldn't trust anyone. More than 2 million, that's 1/3 of the population of 8, died from mass starvation, executions, and illnesses. I was too young to work while my parents and older sibling were forced to work long hours in the field. I became mother to my 3 younger siblings when I was only 6 years old. Because we were starving, I had to find us food. We supplemented our diet with whatever we could find: roots, plants, rats, anything that hops or crawl, and even insects. When I was 8 years old, Angka said I had to go to work. Again, Angka is the organization. That I am too old to be lazy. I was taken away from my parents and placed at the child labor camp. I didn't see my parents or sibling again for 2 years. At the children work camp, we work all day in all kind of weather. And at night, we slept on the dirt floor. Our work include planting. Speaking, I forgot all about that. Sorry. That's okay. Planting and harvesting rice in a rice field. Transporting heavy basket of dirt and mud to build the walkway or the road. Each morning, we woke up to 8 bundles of seeding to be planted each day. I was at the mercy of those stock. Whatever meager nourishment I hoped to receive each day would come only if I planted all the stock. Blade by blade, if I was successful, I earned a small bowl of watery rice gruel and a little rest. Even days when I miraculously managed to plant every blade of the 8 bundles, I would return to camp starving, only to find my empty, overturned pot at the feeding station. I was too late. My lack of skills and speed meant that I would go another day without food. On those nights, my tongue tasted only the salt from the dry sweat on my skin or the blood sucked from the scab of an insect bite. With an empty stomach, water-soaked cracked hands and feet, and every muscle of my body broken from fatigue, I would return to a battered building with shattered windows and holes in the roof and claim my space on the hard floor where I could collapse and sleep wishing that I will never wake up. I learned to work through fever, illnesses, and injuries. No work, no food. Even though I spent every waking moment in the companies of girls, mostly my age, friendship rarely emerged. While friendship often arise through shared experiences, they are nurtured through communication and laughter, neither of which was to be tolerated at our work camp. Our days were spent in silence, working and plantings. One particular day that year imprinted memories in me that I will never forget. When we completed planting one rice paddy, we moved to the next. It was rare for camp to be assigned to the same paddy, but occasionally it was necessary during the height of the planting season. On this September day, we were assigned to a much larger paddy with other camps of women. After we had working for some time, I raised my head to gauge the progress of my planting, but this time it was different. I felt the strange sensations of being watched. At first, I feared it was the Mekong, which translation is the guard, with his rifle in hand, walking back and forth, shouting orders, reminding us what awaited whenever they caught sight of us slowing down. So quickly I looked down and kept working. After some time, I risked another look and raised my head again. This time, I caught a sight of a woman from the other work camp in the next quadrants of the paddy. I blinked and gasped. And my heart started beating rapidly as my eye recognized a familiar face. The woman across the paddy, her body bent, her hands in the waters, was my mother. I had not seen her since I left our village over a year ago. I wanted to run to her, but quickly looked away because any kinds of communication was strictly forbidden when working in the field. I was merely a child, alone, frightened, and always exhausted. A child who missed her family, her parents and siblings, and who did not know if she would ever see them again. There, in that moment, I saw my mother, and the child in me cry out for our contact. I want to hug her. I want to be held by her and feel safe in her arm. But I had lived in this existence long enough to know that disruptions of such a nature meant severe punishment. To recognize each other as beloved mothers and child would be dangerous. We worked and braved stolen glances all day long until the shout of my mother leader called for her camp workers to leave the path to prepare to leave for the day. My heart pounded wildly with longing for contact, for more time in her presence, just one more look. As the workers silently assemble into the single line formation and start to file out of the field along the path, I knew our time was up. With my mother passed by me, still I worked by the path. I heard her whisper, "Jet hai no." In Cambodian translation, how much more to go? She, of course, just asked me anything, but she asked only one thing that mattered the most. She wanted to know if we're going to be eating that day. Now I am a mother myself. I cannot begin to imagine the agony my own mother must have felt that day when she saw me, her long-lost child, and unable to reach out to me. January 1979, Vietnamese troops invaded Cambodia. The Khmer Rouge pulled out the troop up front to fight the Vietnamese. Everyone took the opportunity and escaped from the work camp to go back to their family. Fortunately, most of our family were able to escape death during the bombing and spraying bullets between the Vietnamese and the Khmer Rouge soldier. After 3 months of the invasion, most of my family got reunited. But unfortunately, 2 of my younger siblings were among the 2 million Cambodians who died from hunger and illnesses for those 4 years. A sister was 8 years old, and a baby brother who was 3. Shortly after their loss, my parents decided we must leave Cambodia. We fled to Thailand, spending weeks wandering barefoot through the jungle with very little food and fading hope. Our journey through the jungle was filled with danger, we drank water with human body floating in it, ate food that had been spoiled, and walked through grassy land infested the landmines and booby traps. Many died from starvation and disease, from exploding landmines or at the hands of the Khmer Rouge and Vietnamese soldier roaming the jungle shooting on sight. When we reached Thai border, we stayed in a temporary border camp where we were given a blue top for shelter, water, and a small amount of food each day. Finally, after about 3 months, we were transported across the border and placed in a refugee camp in Thailand. The life in refugee camp was far from being saved. Every waking morning to learn that someone got robbed, raped, or killed. The living conditions were terrible. We never had enough food and water. What we did have was very poor quality. The bathroom facility were filthy, infested maggots. You sit down to relieve yourself, the maggot be crawling all over your feet, and just imagine, and the smell. Over a 2 years period, we lived in 3 different camps while we waited for a sponsor to bring us to the United States. August 23rd, 1981, we landed in Richmond, Virginia. We were grateful to be in America, the land of the free. But learning a new language and adapting to a new culture was very challenging. I was 12 years old and never had been to school. I was placed in the 5th grade where I had to learn numbers, names of colors, and objects. I was given a second chance of living a good life in a new country. For this, I am forever grateful. After our arrival in 1981, however, my family faced a financial hardship. My oldest sister and parents each worked 2 jobs, keeping us going. At the age of 13, I worked part-time cleaning offices to help out with my parents with the bill. We lived in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bath. My 2 older sisters and I share a bedroom with a queen-size bed. Seeking better paying job, my family moved to Long Beach, California in 1986, right after I finished middle school. This is where I graduated from high school in 1990. After I graduated, I took an American citizenship. I changed my Cambodian name from Sokanya to Amanda. I was very proud to become an American citizen and wanted an American name, which was given by my American friend, Stephanie Price, in honor of our friendship. 1992, I returned to Cambodia for the very first time since our escape in 1979. I was heartbroken to see that many people were still living in extreme poverty. The country has seen a lot of progress since 1979, mostly in the city. But people living in rural areas still struggle daily just to survive. In many cases, parents were leaving their children to find in the care of relative or older sibling while they leave the country to find work. Even more heart-wrenching are the parents who sell one of the children to sex traffickers to get money to feed their other starving children. When I returned to the United States after that visit, I was tormented by what I have seen. I want to help, but what could one do? I could send money to my family in Cambodia, but what could I do for the rest of the people? In the aftermath of the Khmer Rouge regime, people of Cambodia were no longer tortured or killed, but they continued to suffer the psychological and economical impact of the Cambodian genocide. Those 4 years of destruction and enslavement left the country devoid of resources and basic services essential for sustaining a healthy population in today's modern world. Summer of 1992, we returned to Richmond because of California high cost of living, and my father's health was declining, and he could no longer work. Richmond was home. I got married in 1994 and later had 2 sons, Matt, who is now 25 years old, a VCU graduate with an art degree, and Alex, an 18 young entrepreneur who graduated from Freeman High School. Today, I work as a hairstylist with my 2 older sisters at Grove Avenue in Richmond. Thanks to hard work, perseverance, and risk-taking, my family now live the American dream. But I never forgot the people who were left behind, the people who were not as fortunate as us, who continue to suffer the circumstances of their impoverished country. I've been fortunate to have the support to overcome the trauma I experienced in the midst of the Khmer Rouge genocide, but many others have not been so fortunate. For them, the years have passed, but the suffering continues. Today, Cambodia has a population of about 16.5 million, twice the size of New York City. The form of government is a democracy. There is much more corruption. Most of the population do not receive basic services and resources. There's no middle class. The average wage for those lucky enough to find a job is about $3 per day. The plight of our battered and beaten country rise to the labor and sexual exploitation that still exists today. Sex trafficking is among the worst in the world. Girls and boys from Battambang and other rural communities are tortured, raped, and starved every day. The most significant cause of sex trafficking is poverty resulting from unemployment, lack of education, and neglected by a corrupt government. The country lacks even the most basic infrastructure, and jobs are scarce. Families must migrate from village to village for work, eliminating the community of education and their children to continue the cycles of poverty, crimes, and hopelessness. Food relief efforts are important, but it's a temporary solution to the problem. A more permanent solution would be to find a way to lift these people out of poverty. From my father, I have learned the importance of education and believe that was a key to helping my people. I am continually reminded of the sufferings of the Cambodian people who lack the simple things I now take for granted: food, shelter, clothing, clean water, school, medicines. Know myself what it's like to be scared and hungry. I have a strong passion to give back. 2006, I started our first relief mission to Cambodia with $1,700 in donation from my families and friends. With this money, we bought locally produced rice, soy sauce, fish sauce, and noodles to help feed 110 families. In 2007, we established a 501c3, a nonprofit organization, so that we could support the Cambodian poor through the sustainable program. We named this organization 100 Pounds of Hope. In 2015, in honor of my father, I built a school in the Cambodian village where he was born and once taught as a young man. Today, there were over 400 students enrolled, attending in the split session. Our goal is to build a school with 4 buildings in the shape of a square with courtyard in the middle. 1 building down, 3 more to go. Longer term, we want to add a library and vocational center. We want to teach English to pave the way for the future. Those 400 students and their family now have access to clean waters and safe sanitation. Instead of using toilet connected to sewer line, most leave their waste on the ground or a ditch or a pit. The result is unsightly, unsanitary, and contribute to illness. 100 Pounds of Hope has accomplished much already, but this was the only beginning. Many of those living in a major city of Cambodia have job and are able to provide for their family. However, those living in the outskirts of a city or in the rural areas still face a daily struggle. As a result of our belonging visions and dreams to expand the foundation service, we have formed a new 501c3 foundation. In 2019, I founded HOPE, stand for Helping Others Pursue Education, as a nonprofit organization with a mission to educate impoverished children in Cambodia. Helping others pursue education will bring aid, education, and inspiration to many more in dire need of our help by ensuring the community itself gain the skills necessary to build on its own success. The foundation, HOPE, is focused on building schools with modern facilities like playgrounds, bathroom, running water for drinking and electricity. HOPE's equip classrooms with basic supplies like desks, chairs, teaching materials, and support the teacher of the school they build. The foundations also fund the upkeep of school building. Today, education requires access to internet. There can be no access to the internet without energy to create electricity. There are no power plants near Battambang, and most electrical power from generators or car batteries. Our goal is to utilize solar energy to provide enough electricity to power computer, bringing access to the outside world via internet. Helping others to pursue education continue to be an all-volunteer organization. All money we raise go directly to supporting the people of Rankesai. That's the part of the town. We cannot have accomplished what we've already done, nor will we achieve any of our future goals without the generous help of volunteers. One of the greatest joys I've discovered in this past 16 years of building our organization is the willingness of people to devote their time, talents, and treasure for the benefit of others. Complete stranger people have never met. In addition to individual volunteer, we seek partnership with other organizations and corporate sponsors that can make an even greater impact in serving the needs of the Cambodian people. I'd rather say Cambodian poor. Working with New Corporate, a nonprofit partner, we can provide larger amount of food, school supply, medicine, construction, equipment, skills, trainings, and more. There's so much we can do. We can feed, we can teach, we can heal, and we can love. Through the generous help of our supporter, we can continue our journey to lift the children of Battambang out of poverty, providing them with the opportunity to live with dignity and help future generations never experience the hopelessness from having nothing at all. At helping others pursue education, our mission is to provide food for today, and education for tomorrow, and hope for the future. We have accomplished much in our first 16 years, but have a long way to go. It's been a true honor to be with you this evening. I hope you will share my story with others and welcome your help, your ideas, and your passion. Thank you for your attention and for this opportunity for me to tell you the story. If you would like to learn more about helping others pursue education and the work we are doing, please visit us at helpingothersPursueEducation.org. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is our new school. Yeah.
You want your video?
Yes, please.
Can't we ask questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I will take all the questions. Don't hold back.
This one?
Yes, please.
We have a video.
I was 8 years old when I was ripped from my family and forced to work in a child forced labor camp. The Khmer Rouge, a radical communist regime, terrorized Cambodia. More than 2 million Cambodians died from mass starvation, executions, and illness. I was merely a child, alone, frightened. We escaped to Thailand, spending 3 months wandering barefoot through the jungle with very little food and fading hope. In August 1981, we boarded a flight to America, and all I knew was that we're going to a place called heaven. We're going to America, the land of the free. My family now live an American dream, but I never forget the people we left behind. We established a nonprofit organization so that we can support the Cambodian poor through a sustainable program. Our mission is to provide food for today and education for tomorrow and hope for the future.
You talk about a new school, when you talk about education to these children, their eyes just get big, and you can see the desire to learn and to become educated, and the sign of hope. It's just amazing to me.
There is so much we can do. We can feed, we can teach, we can heal, and we can love.
The biggest reward is to see some of these children break out that cycle of poverty. I want to make a change as many lives I can. I know I cannot do alone.
Okay, I can take question.
Are your efforts supported by the government?
The Cambodian government? No, ma'am. We are on our own, but I'm very thankful that they allow us to do our work without any interruption. At the beginning, when I first did the food relief mission, I have to do a lot of bribery. But now they're welcome to help, but they're not involved. At least they're not getting in the way. That was a great question, thank you. Anybody else?
Here's your microphone.
Yes.
Turn off the thing if you want to. Just so the
Sure.
broadcast can hear too.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Oh, ma'am, sorry.
Your background and your
Well, like I mentioned, like the first mission to Cambodia in 2006, I brought those back, those videos, pictures to show, and I have, I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by such wonderful people, clients who become close friends. They saw the pictures, they saw the video I brought back, and they encouraged me to start a nonprofit so we can do a whole lot more. So, but sadly to say, it took me a long time to finish that one school and to get the bathroom going. So I've done a lot of research, talking to people, and then, you know, it's the most important thing was to have the fun. So once you get the fun, you can help people who know how to do it. So it was just the hard part, which is getting the fun for it. So it was, yes, it was a bit of a challenge, not to get in the supply anything, but like I said, just to get how we're going to pay for it. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Does Hope help other places in Asia, or is it just Cambodia?
Right now, we focus in Cambodia in this particular school because we still have our goal to reach. When we complete all that, we change his life, then we change a different location. But for now, we want to focus in just Rangkasay in this rural area. Angkor Wat? Yes. Yes. Oh, the skull. Is that where they used one of the high school as the like a killing field? Is that where you went to the killing field? Yes, it was a high school. They turned into a torture chambers where they killed this. I don't know if you experienced, but every time I go, I get chills and walk. If it's a raining day, you can actually see the clothing articles or parts of jars or whatever still surface of the ground. They dug up a lot of those holes where they have doing the mass grave, but it's still it's everywhere. When after the invasion, after we fled that one, well. To let you know that I have a book out already, so I will just tell you a bit of this and that. But anyway, so we went back to, during the invasion, while they invaded, we went back to our place, our house. I have to skip over corpse just to look for food. So people die everywhere, not just at that one particular spot, but it's everywhere. That where you went was just happened to be the mass execution, mass grave. Correct. Correct. The base people are those people who never have any education. They work as farmers. So when we were forced to evacuate from our home to the country, to rural areas, those base people are in charge. People who from the city are considered as new people, and they were given power for use whatever they want. They don't have to have any reason to point out you, to kill you. And yes, I've seen plenty of those stuff. Yes, I've been there, yeah. And nightmare still. Yeah. But I'm glad you have been to Cambodia and you see the, I'm sure the city, you went visit Angkor Wat as well? Okay, Angkor Wat was one of the 7 wonders in the world. Yes, yes. Yeah. I hope you go back again, and hopefully that thing will change. Hopefully. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Any other question? Yeah, so I have a book available to download on Amazon just for Kindle for now, and I'm hoping in the next few months we can get a paperback. So if you're interested, go to Amazon.com, type on Cambodia, Restoring Hope. You'll see my biography, so it was just like a whole long of the story. So yes, and everything will go toward the project. None of us take any cut. Yes, ma'am.
Does any other organization try to help those people, like UNICEF or Child Fund?
Yes, they do have child fund. I'm not sure how many, but I'm sure there's at least 3,000 organizations out there. But I don't know how many of them do directly. But we do directly because all volunteers. Nobody take any pay at all. So it's all So we do everything ourselves, and we are trying to partner with other organizations. We do not care whose name on the getting credit for the work. We just want that to be built. We want to give those children the chance to have a normal life. Okay. Any other question? Well, it sounds like this is good. Well, thank you so much for your. I appreciate you inviting me over. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, for sharing your story, and I'm glad I stayed to listen. It was quite a story that you've lived, and I hope you get to achieve what you want for your school. Would love to have you come back and give us an update at some point.
Sure. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming out. Really appreciate seeing faces and coming down. We're just going to keep opening up more and more, and having you all in person just is wonderful to have faces. So thank you for coming, and we will see you again next Monday.
Yeah. If you're interested, I have flyers for the book, just in case you forgot how to get a family to share. So I do have them. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
And I want to let you know also that this has been broadcast on TV, so there's more than just us people who listen to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Pleased to hear that. Thank you so much. You have a great evening. I do.